Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And in my last channel, where I taught like occult and all sorts of kind of like self help stuff, um, this was like before my midlife crisis. Then during my midlife crisis, I deleted that channel. COVID happened, an earthquake happened, met a toxic person in my life that happened. Uh, so here I am, and we're like rebuilding my channel once again. Um, this time, I was like, you know what? Let's just do it again. I couldn't decide if I was going to do strictly life coaching self help or if I was just going to teach strictly occult. And then it looks like I just can't stop talking about both of them. So why choose? I'll just continue doing what I'm doing. And hopefully we will uh, kind of be more productive. So I've kind of been kind of like subtly stepping my feet back into the YouTube waters and sharing the vast amount of occult knowledge that I've somehow acquired by just being totally into it my whole life. But this is actually a scrying video. So, one thing that bothers me is people, I think, either whether it's self help or magical things like tools and techniques, uh, they offer it to you, and I think in a really good way. This is where I fail. Very clear, very concise. They kind of take that authority position and tell you how it is. They might, and then we get the impression that they are actually good at it, that this is how they live their life, and these self help techniques. And then what we don't see is as soon as the camera's off, they go back into their chaotic world, not applying the techniques, not really living it. But we don't know because uh, they have their social presence. They wear that mask, and then we don't really know basically off stage what it really looks like into their life. So that's one of my kind of concerns, maybe even a grievance with misleading people with information, whether it's self help coaching or anything. Like we even have doctors up there trying to make money, uh, peddling herbal supplements, and we can read outdated information. Uh, and bottom line is, we just don't really know. So I think I'm a little frustrated and angry, uh, mostly deeply concerned on how we're uh, kind of like false advertising a level of confidence and a level of knowledge that we have in all these different fields, whether it's medical, whether it's educational, uh, whether it's sports, whatever it is that we all want to do. The actuality of it, the human experience of it in your body, in your interactions daily as you interact with the world, with others, and yourself, uh, there is a lot of, it doesn't clearly, it doesn't hit the mark. Like there's a lot of strange things happening, day to day. Your blood pressure is changing with the seasons and as you age. So we're constantly changing. And so you can't ever have the same experience again and again and again. It's not linear, it's not so predictable. Uh, and so I'm saying, let's not be hard on ourselves when someone appears to be all magical, when someone appears to be, making it a hustler with all this money and all this knowledge and skill. So they're in this position to tell you and we blindly follow. So that's kind of like the disclaimer with the magical world. Because, I see people, they deck out their room all magical. Uh, and then, maybe they read some books and then they present it with style, and that's cool. Um, but once again, I find it lacking. I, I find it lacking. It's a great facade. It's a great mask. It's a pretense. They dress sexy, cool witch, or dark and mysterious wizard. You know, like we all know about that person who was going to be into dark magic and landed himself in jail. And I don't blame any dark forces. I actually blame not being authentic. You know, I feel like if you're authentic, if you're true to yourself, um, and that authenticity also has to do with what you're being clear with your real intent. And that intention isn't going against your heart. It isn't going against who you actually are. It is not going against your mind. You know? So I feel like it gets, I would say, mystical in a negative way. It gets more fantasy like and stereotyping. And people are banking on that. So we kind of think of the old person or the manipulator with a crystal ball, casting spells and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I kind of take a Zen approach to this. I'm like, what is it? How do we do it? And what is the most simple, grounded way to do it? Could it be fun? Where's the fun element in magic? Where's the fun element in divining our futures? And do we really only want to use a crystal ball to divine the future? So I think, so we have filters, we have ideas in our head about what it's supposed to look like. And I would say, let that all go. And then we might even have agendas like who we would like to be with our newfound powers of using the crystal ball. And what could we do with it, and how does, so I'd say let that go. And so really gonna just kind of dissolve and let everything go. It's gonna just be you with a chunk of crystal that's been shaped into a sphere or a really cool surface. It could be a black mirror that you made. It could be a regular mirror. It could be an antique mirror. It could be all sorts of things. So there's all sorts of lore, myths, and legends. And the reality is you can't own it or claim it. Oh, well, my grandmother, and we passed this down for ages. And yeah, it's a story. Shut it down right now. Because this is you actually going to do it. And you're going to find out. It's like test time. When you face the mirror, literally, figuratively, uh, very poetically, you're going to find out what you're made of, what you can do. And so I so I'd say the first thing is don't try hard. Don't expect so much. It's like if you force it, if you really want it, that is going to build up pressure, and it can kind of work for you, but then in the long run, it will be frustrating. So I was lucky. I had beginner's luck. So I had some really cool scrying experiences that let me know the potential. It was literally like turning on a movie and watching it. I was blown away. It was like looking into a whole nother world. Uh, I was blown away. Uh, is it like that? So then we think in our mind, oh, Onyx is having this like 20-minute uh movie experience. That usually doesn't happen like that. And especially now, So as you change, your body changes, as seasons change, as you evolve, different experiences happen in your, I call them sit sessions. Like you're going to sit for meditation, you're going to sit and have a scrying session or crystal gazing experience. Uh, I would say let the flow guide you. Let your intuition guide you. Let it happen. Let the journey take over and take you to places you never thought were possible. And that will open up your experience and you'll have a richer experience instead of just looking for cold hard answers, being linear about it, being polarized about it, yes or no. Like that's a lot of pressure and that's a really limited way to have the journey. So, we now know we're our own worst enemy. We now know everything we taught, everything we learned, everything we saw on media, uh, with everything. So I don't care what it is that you're doing. Just realize you probably have filters, built-in expectations, built-in beliefs and definitions that you can just put aside. So now that we've done that, it's just going to be you facing your mirror or facing your crystal ball, whatever it is that you choose to scry with. So, and I would say a quiet room would be best, a quiet space to experiment. And then these experiments can be very short to very long. Be your own scientist, be your own detective, investigator. Um, conduct your own experiments. Um, but really, it's actually super easy. Just pick a crystal ball. And I like this one because I have a clouded surface that's very opaque, not transparent. Then I have a very transparent. So I get to experiment with what works better, like transparency or opaque, or, change of mood or whatever. So, and basically, you just look at it. Simple, right? You can look at the surface. You can look into the center. You can look all the way through to the back. I'd say all three work. And lately, what I've been really liking to do is imagining about the size of a dime in the center of the crystal ball, like a little dime-sized mirror looking back at me. So just like a silver shine. And then, sometimes it can even be smaller than a dime. Uh, you know, maybe like a couple centimeters square, just like a little teeny square of silvery light shining back at me. And I'm just looking at that like through my crystal ball. Actually, we'll go like that for you guys. So I'm just going to do that, honestly. So obviously, it's not really there. So I kind of make it up in my mind, flirt with the idea, I play with the idea. It's like I'm looking for it and searching. And then, reality hits me. Dude, you're just looking at a crystal. And then look in. You have to use your imagination. So you may have to. And there's actually a little natural inclusion that's catching my eye. So I kind of switched from that little mirror to that little piece of inclusion. And I just stared at it for a bit. And then I go, okay, that's not working. Let's go back to my original plan. Okay, So I moved my crystal around a little bit. Sometimes when I move my crystal a little bit, it helps me like clear my mind and wipe the slate clean. And I'm gonna work with that. There's some nice light shining in. I can get some depth perception. Okay, I'm enjoying that. It looks pretty. I'm enjoying it. Sure beats closing my eyes and chanting or thinking of nothing. I just get to kind of look at that shiny spot in the middle. There's a glow. There's literally a glow of natural light. So now I'm not even imagining. Okay, I'm just going to focus on that for a bit. And then I notice my body starts to settle. I start to find my place in the here and now. I start to ground, center. And then my mind just starts to open up. It just starts to relax. And it gets into a receptive mode. So once again, we're not trying hard. I'm not blurring my eyes. I'm not chanting anything. I'm not casting any spells. I'm not doing anything religious. There's no real belief, but obviously, I believe we can have an experience and anything is possible. But I'm really not deeply invested. Like if I don't do this, then this means I'm not powerful or I'm not psychic or I'm not gonna make a statement about my success or failure here. So it doesn't matter. I drop that need and then I'm like, oh, I just let go. And I literally feel a pulsing in the center of my head, like a freaking heartbeat. So earlier I was scrying with my larger crystal ball that's up on my wizard's altar. You know, I got, anyways, and after staring at it for like 20 minutes, okay, life is a mirror, okay? So the energy I was projecting towards my ball charged my ball and then started projecting back at me. So I was feeling my own energy reflected back. It was pretty awesome. So once once I have that energy connection, the reflection bouncing off the object, the neutral, non-descriptive object, I know I'm linked in with the object of my focus. So that means it's charged and ready to go. And then I call my crystal ball a focusing device. That's all it is. It helps me focus my mind because we're moving around our emotions, our body, our thoughts, our feelings, that inner dialogue. It doesn't really turn off. But imagine if we could just create little gaps, little windows, uh little moments between all the chatter and thinking and daydreaming and fantasizing and anxiety and wishing and reflecting, like, because you're looking. And we are such a being at this time that relies heavily on our eyes. Looking becomes our primary sense organ, and because you're just focusing on that and you're looking, it kind of flips the switch and intuitive information can download in. So you can extract, you can draw in, you can magnetize information. So this is how it works. And so I would say don't so notice I said the first thing I felt was my own energy coming back. So it was a feeling sensation. You might be tactile. You might have that learning style of hands-on. You might be visual or you might be auditory. Those are the three learning styles. I'm sure there's more, but it's very possible that the information you get might come in through one of those senses. It's also very possible that information is around your object of focus. So I could have used a candle flame. Scrying by fire is a very classic way. We naturally get drawn towards the light and the dark, and we're tired and we're sleepy and we're cold, and there's a warm fire, and people have visions with the metallic gold flames, or the uh or just so it's a surface. So we're moving into that next part. We're kind of in a very light trance. You don't need a lot. So you've moved out of high beta brain thinking and worrying. You've calmed down a bit, it's starting to get creative, a little lucid, and that's enough. You don't need to go into full on sleep channeling like Edgar Cayce and some others. With scrying, it helps you not have to do that. So another reason to objectify the screen instead of inside your head, outside your head, outside of you, is so sometimes when you're working with bigger energies and stuff, you don't have to personally take it on, and that happens with skill. Okay, so I know I just want to scry for you guys. Honestly, I just want to go straight in. So sometimes I'll have all my visions around the crystal ball, like it's in my aura. And then other times it will be inside, and sometimes it goes back and forth. And then sometimes the vision, the ball, the vision, the ball, the vision, the ball. So ebbs and flows between solid reality, this place that we call reality. Your favorite place to be would be, I would assume, your reality. And then the expanded universe, anything outside of that. So you're moving in and out, kind of here and then everywhere, here and everywhere, here and nowhere, here and nowhere. But, anyways, and so in those little gaps, those little in between oscillations, movements, the information comes in, it streams in, and you pick it up. And so a lot of times I'll be working with my crystal ball. So, okay, I would say cold read, you kind of got to warm up your ball. Okay, you kind of got to prime this car that's been sitting out in winter forever, and so it needs a warm up. So gazing at it for a while, you're literally charging it through your eyes. I think it's really good to charge it in the moonlight, so that could help wake up your tool, adding energy. You could sleep with it for 3 days, put it by your bedpost so it could be saturated in your aura. And who knows, okay, you could do a ritual. That can all be fun, but your intention is just to charge it. And if you don't want to do any of that, just hang out with your crystal ball. Use it repeatedly day after day or month, after, however it is for you. And then if that's going to be your tool, you're going to want to wrap it up to conserve that psychic mental energy. Otherwise, if someone else looks at it, it can kind of go to them, or if you then bring it out into an unclean environment, that unclean environment is going to suck the energy out of your ball. Like, it's going to disrupt. So paying attention to energy becomes really important. Using the crystal ball makes you more aware of energies on all different levels and planes, okay? So once you focus, okay, so what I call opening up the crystal uh, is I'll start to see colored spots, or visionary stuff going on. And it usually kind of happens in the corner of the ball somewhere. It could start happening around the edge, like outside, like I'm having the vision outside of it and the ball is kind of blocking the vision. Then, or I'll start to see little, almost like it's being burnt in. It's like a veil is being ripped away, a cloth is being ripped away. So it's being melted through. And so I'll start to see that other vision. For me, it's usually a place, like within the astral plane. I'll start to see that other dimension start to bleed and melt through. And then, and literally it could take 5, 10, 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, boom, then it's like I'm looking through a window. And that's when I say, okay, the ball is open. That veil has been pierced. And so I find I pierce that veil with my eyes. Uh, you know, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm laser beaming, cutting through. I'm doing the Superman laser beam, but it's not like an intense. It's soft. I allow it to take as much time. So this is another thing. It's like I'm not doing this right before work. I've done that a million times and suffered the consequences. Or so I'll do it on a day where I have the day off or the weather is and my mood are all in alignment. Then I'll have a crystal ball session, you know. And so once the crystal ball is open, I've noticed I kind of have like a silvery screen. It looks like silver silk, or sometimes it looks like a clear blue sky. But I'm like, what I've realized is, oh, that's the screen. The inner mirror, the mirror is now working, and the images can now be projected on it, but it will look like I'm receiving those images. And so then I could ask a question if I really have a question, or let it take me wherever it wants to go. Uh, but the important part then is once your crystal is open. So a lot of people talk about a cloud. For me, when I see the cloud, uh, if it's a dark color, that's actually the cloud on my third eye. It's dirty. Maybe I did too many drugs. Maybe it was around toxic people and got super negative energy. Maybe I've been in toxic environments or eating the wrong food. And I'll see it when I'm crystal gazing. I'll see like a brown cloud, and then it kind of goes a little bit more transparent. Then there might be some black wisps, and then when it finally clears, I usually see a bright gold. So I know the light in my third eye shines gold. It does gold, it does silver, depending, but usually it just does gold, an intense gold. And I know my third eye is open. I'm like, bam. It looks like I'm staring like right into a headlight. Like, it may not be like that for you, but usually when things are cloudy, it is piercing the veil, but that veil is usually the debris on your third eye. And that's what I've come to discover. Okay. So obviously always cleanse and charge your tools before you use them, put them away appropriately, that kind of stuff, so you don't have problems. And different tools for different occasions, okay? Focus. Okay. So it is a focusing device. So this helps you with all your other divination abilities and skills because it's helping you learn to focus, hold on to an idea, hold on to an energy. Oh, it looks like we might have had a cutout. So we'll just stop it here.